Something's different at the Columbus Zoo. Rather than walking a good ways to see their first headliners, you can stay by the entrance at the new Adventure Cove, the zoo's first big thing since the heart of Africa. This was all designed and constructed for almost 4 years before it was recently unveiled in 2020. It's divided into 1, 2, and 3 different parts that together create a very random and at times confusing mix. Because many of these animals were inactive, this episode will be more exhibit focused. $40 million went into this adventure, but was quickly described as something you wouldn't expect to see at the Columbus Zoo, and we will find out why. This adventure kicks off with an aquatic feature inspired by the Pacific Northwest with an added touch of man-made waves. And no surprise, it displays harbor seals and California sea lions, the first pinnipeds in Ohio's capital since the 70s. Though there's quite a bit of glare, the amount of views you're offered makes it impossible to miss them. You can watch the marine mammals swim from the front, a smaller window, a bubble, 2 more larger panels, and if you want, all of them at once. We're moving on, but fortunately that does not mean the sea lion complex is over, as the path takes us inside to the midway point, where you can get one last underwater look at the right side and the thing that sets the Adventure Cove apart from the rest of the zoo. A 60-foot long acrylic tunnel going through a second pool, placing you in the middle of their world. One of the few of its kind designs in America. The sea lions can obviously not only swim by your side and above you, but in the middle, they can also swim below you. That's a 360-degree view, which makes this one a bit more unique than the country's other sea lion tunnels. From the exit after your final look under the sea, there's a ramp and a set of steps that go up to an observation deck where you can get an aerial view of the rocky shore on the right and the colorful storefront wharf on the left that was inspired by the Pier 39 in San Francisco. The cove opened with 4 harbor seals and 10 sea lions, but if you visit now, you may see that number has already grown. With 2 habitats and a show pool, it all adds up to 375,000 gallons, making it the largest of the many aquatic presentations at the Columbus Zoo. Now to part 2, the Animal Encounters Village, a colorful streetscape where 50 or so ambassador animals that usually rotate in local classrooms now also rotate through 14 exhibits that depict the suburbs, gardens, and even businesses. First up, in one of the larger spaces, we saw a serval the first time, but later we came across the world's first cheetah cubs to be conceived through in vitro fertilization. Near the actual building, there's a few animals that have wandered into people's backyards. In the first of these 3, there was a very curious northern ground hornbill. In the second, red-ruffed and ring-tailed lemurs. Yeah, pretty common creatures, but how many of you can say that you've seen a lemur do this? And word around the village is they do this quite often, so this alone is a good reason to stop by this area. At the house down the road are toucans, showing off their vibrant but hollow beaks that grow to nearly half the length of their body. In front of them out in the open, I assume that this is always home to a Linz two-toed sloth doing what you'd expect a sloth to do, and several capybaras of several ages, the world's heaviest rodent. They roam in ranges marked with scent, formed by mixed herds of mating pairs that are dominated by one male. In just one group, you can find between 20 to 100 of these semi-aquatic mammals. They can be submerged for 5 minutes, evading predators like jaguars, caimans, and humans who hunt them for their hide and even grease from their fatty skin. There's still a little more, and the village continues inside. Roaming around in the city park, you could see the hornbill, a Siriema, but we did come across an inactive bat-eared fox. Right over the gate by the swing, there was a prehensile-tailed porcupine. The other side is Pier 33, built for penguins and otters, though for us there was a duck. Down the second and final hall, sleeping on the floor of a smoothie truck was a kinkajou. Sleeping in another backyard were swift foxes. And again, sleeping in the baskets of the organic market were Geoffroy's cats. And last in the canopy of the Bee's Garden store, finally an active red-fronted macaw. We're back outside, but not out of the village. In the shaded dry pen, there was a Red River hog, and to finish it up by the capybaras, I assume a walk-through display for slow-moving gopher and African spur-thighed tortoises. And to part 3. The finale to the Adventure Cove, but actually predates these new developments by 8 years. The Stingray Bay is an 18,000-gallon curved saltwater pool with a low edge that's wide enough for even toddlers to reach over. Once free to only members, now to everyone, mind you if you wash your hands, is free and encouraged to gently pet dozens of schooling cownose and southern stingrays. And maybe if you're lucky enough, they'll even come up to pet you. Like I said, something you wouldn't expect to see at the Columbus Zoo. Reviews and opinions amongst the public are very divided, so I'd like for you to tell me your thoughts on this new attraction. Thank you for watching.